What do these three things have in common? Russians, werewolves, House of the Crescent Moon. The answer is Tamara Tvarivich. Who is she? What did she do? Why is she so important to the werewolves of the Garou Nation, specifically the Silver Fangs? And what is her place in the world of darkness? Queen Tamara is strong. She is inquisitive. She has a casual haughtiness about her personality. This is very off-putting to some. This is also very endearing to some. And no matter what you think about her, she's usually right. Once her mind is made up about a decision, basically Gaia herself would not be able to change her mind about it. Tamara was built different from most werewolves in the sense that she was kind of slim. Being that she was of the Silver Fangs, of course, she had very striking features. She had long black hair that she would typically wear in a bun on the back of her head. Why is that so pokey outy? She was also known for her choice of wardrobe colors, and that would be typically all white. This color choice and scheme isn't something that she just picked out of the air. It was also a representation of her membership of the Ivory Priesthood. Although her fashion sense changed a little bit when she became Queen of the Silver Fangs, she started wearing a cape, which is a totally baller move. Another thing that she was known for is carrying a large mace, and she basically never went anywhere without it. The Ivory Priesthood is a secret sect among the Silver Fang Theurges. It is said that when the first wolf died in order to save Gaia, it learned the secret of death. This secret was passed on to some Silver Fangs, and thus the Ivory Priesthood was born. The Silver Fang Theurges who join the Ivory Priesthood, they go under a series of spiritual tests, spiritual trials, to see if they are worthy to know the secret of death and what lies beyond the shroud. Now, what time period are we talking about when it comes to Tamara, the Silver Fangs, and Russia? We're talking about the specific time period of Russia within World of Darkness when it was basically cut off from the rest of the world with the Shadow Curtain because of Baba Yaga. During this time, Tamara was a werewolf that rose to prominence. The only thing was, she kind of came out of nowhere. No one knew anything about her, but she was this new upstart who was making a name, a very good name for herself. Her lineage would be traced back to that of the Tvarivich twins, Sophia and Yuri, during the 13th century in Russia. During that time, the twins were also heroes to the Silver Fangs, and they were of House Crescent Moon. Tamara, she wasn't shy about letting people know that she was in the Ivory Priesthood. While this was a commonly known fact about her, it wasn't what she was known for. It was her deeds that set her apart. The things that she accomplished, her personality. And for Tamara, she liked it that way. In Tamara's mind, she would sacrifice everything if it meant the betterment of her own tribe. For those that she could trust to confide in, she wouldn't admit that she has regrets, although she does have a couple. Her time to be an adventurer, to be reckless, and to find secrets and different spiritual, powerful items that the werewolves call fetishes. Her time in the sun is past. For now, she focuses on repairing the damage that has been done, and it was significant damage from what the Hag and her armies did before the Shadow Curtain fell. Among some of Tamara's accomplishments, she has earned the respect of almost all the old houses of the Silver Fangs. Now, whether they agree with her or like her or not, none of them can deny that she is worthy of respect. And don't get it wrong, she definitely made some enemies within the Silver Fangs. So let's talk a little bit about House of the Crescent Moon. Oh, hello there. Before we talk a little bit about House of the Crescent Moon, maybe if you are enjoying today's video, you could let me know by hitting the thumbs up button. That would be fantastic. And if you're feeling sultry, adventurous, or if you just want more World of Darkness lore, then please hit that subscribe button with the bell notification, as I would greatly appreciate it. House of the Crescent Moon in ancient times was a final voice, a final decision in the Impergium and the Concord. House of Crescent Moon also led the War of Rage. House of Crescent Moon rose to prominence. They gained glory during a time when they were having a rivalry with another house, House Golden Sky. And they actually used to lead the Silver Fangs back in the day. House Crescent Moon has been the Worm's biggest enemy, biggest thorn in its side. They also have some pretty significant heroes going back throughout history, being part of the Silver Fang lineage, but also belonging to House Crescent Moon. Ale King Axeclaw, Queen Villadus, Yuri and Sophie Tvarivich. Tvarivich? Am I saying that wrong? I don't speak Russian. But the worm is nothing if not persistent. And with every victory House Crescent Moon had over the worm always came back, and it always came back stronger. It's a bit like a Hydra in that sense. It wouldn't be until the events of World War I that House Crescent Moon was nearly wiped out entirely. However, because werewolves are stubborn and generally hard to kill, they still exist in their worm-tainted, infested lands. House Crescent Moon is committed to the fight. They are committed to retaking their lands, to purifying them, to rid it of worm taint, as well as vampire presence. Even now, in the modern days, Tamara Tvarivich is still the queen of House Crescent Moon, and she rules her tribe. She rules her house, still in Russia. Though, if you were to ask her, she would say that she is a tribe unto herself, not a house. Now, I mentioned that Tamara had some regrets in her life, but another was misplacing her trust in another individual, in another werewolf, which nearly got her and her tribe wiped out. This is likely one of the biggest mistakes that Tamara has made. Who did she trust that she shouldn't have? His name was Lord Arkady. Part of the reason for her trust, for her faith in him, was because of his incredible Silver Fang pure breeding. You could also probably say inbreeding for this one. The other part of this was because of his ferocity, his bravery, his competence in battle in the final days against the Hag. Before Lord Arkady was known with the Lord title, he was just known as Arkady. In 1994, he escaped from Russia and went to find House of Wyrmfoe to get aid. He was looking for aid against the enemies that were invading and taking over Europe at the time. Unfortunately, his request was denied. However, Arkady was driven. Some would say driven to the point of madness, or maybe driven by madness. His ultimate goal was to see his homeland, to see Mother Russia free from its worm-tainted influence. He pursued this goal so hard and so strongly that the results eventually became the only thing that mattered, and over time, his sense of honor became lost. As long as he achieved his goals, he didn't care what happened. Arkady would eventually seize control of House Wyrmfoe after a particularly troubling time for this house. He manipulated events so that this would happen. He also did this with the influence of the worm, but he didn't act until the death of King Jacob Morningkill of House Wyrmfoe, when his cairn was attacked by black spiral dancers and they killed him, which left his throne empty. Now, Jacob's grandson, Jonas Albrecht, was supposed to inherit or take over the throne, but Arkady had something to say about this. He challenged Jonas to a duel, and he eventually defeated Jonas, again with the help of the worm. Once he won the duel, no one contested him, no one challenged him because of his purebred status. The Silver Fangs were really big on their pure breeding, if you haven't known this already. The rest of the Silver Fangs, even the Guru Nation, they believed that Arkady was the purest, incorruptible. In reality, he was actually the most corrupted. Although Jonas was defeated in his duel, he was not killed. Jonas would eventually regain his strength. Through the help of his pack, Jonas would eventually take down Arkady and restore himself to the throne of House Wyrmfoe. Before Jonas's coronation, he would eventually spare Arkady's life. However, he would banish him back to his homeland of Russia. This is a decision that Jonas would eventually come to regret later in his life. All was not lost for Arkady, however. He would eventually redeem himself in the eyes of his clan, in the eyes of his house, in the eyes of the Guru Nation, and Tamara Tvarivich. Arkady led many successful battles against his enemies in Eastern Europe, and he would ultimately sacrifice his life for the destruction of the Dragon of Croatia. Once Arkady's deceit had been discovered, the things that he had done, this was the catalyst that would ultimately open conversations, open dialogue and peace talks between Tamara and her house and Albrecht and his house. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the Silver Fangs, you need to click this video here. Thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and the channel. All of your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to support me and the channel, please consider joining me over on Patreon. My name's Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.